Hello and welcome to the MHG podcast. Life is rubbish. It really, really is. Especially this time of year. It's cold, it's miserable, and you got no money because it's just been the holiday season. So we're here for free. Absolutely 100% free. No charges to bring you some joy and some light in your life. I'm Bradley. Once again joined by Stu. How you doing, Stu?
Oh, living the high life. Absolutely. I'm in no way hiding within my VR headset so that I can pretend the world doesn't exist. It's like Ready Player One in here.
Oh, amazing. In my mind, it's like Lawnmower Man.
Well, you do like older, more simplistic graphics, so fair enough.
But one thing I will say is, right, listen, can you hear that?
What's that?
You can't hear it, can you? It's the sound of no kids. Because they're back at school as of today. And I'm going to say this now, Stu, right? The 6 weeks holidays might be longer. The Christmas break is the worst. Because despite getting all new things and whatever, they're stuck indoors because it's miserable and wet and cold and events get cancelled and there's nothing on TV apart from Christmas crap and they don't like it. They don't like it. And they get worse. They turn into horrible little festering demons.
And you see, this is why I never had kids. I have that silence all the time. It's fantastic.
Oh, no, I've heard you say Mel goes proper on one around this time of year.
Yeah. She does get a bit ravey, but, I just tune it out.
We got Edith her own Xbox. That's not good enough to keep her, quiet. Because you always forget with kids, the one thing they don't quite know how to do is actually play games properly at that age. So you need to help them.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I've got a stroppy teenager who sometimes helps. It's
lucky, yeah.
I hate the Christmas period holidays. They are the worst. Cut it down to a week. Get the kids back out there and add another week onto the 6 weeks when they can do stuff.
Yeah, that would be nice. Yeah. And when I was a kid, back in my day, we just, in the Christmas period, we were around on Christmas Day and probably Boxing Day, at least most of it. And then we were just out playing with our mates for the rest of the time. And it's just like our parents just off you go, bye.
Yeah, but back then, global warming hadn't absolutely destroyed the world quite yet. Oh, we didn't know it. And we had probably more money. I don't know. Just all their gifts are indoor gifts.
Yeah, well, no, it's also like that thing of it's not really safe for kids to be out because we don't create enough safe spaces for them. So
no, and there's a pedo on every corner now.
Apparently so. Yeah, no, it's not the pedos you have to worry about. It's the
It's the trans people you got to worry about.
Obviously
they could be trying to get into their bathrooms.
Absolutely, the root cause of everything is the trans people. We are joking, but obviously have to say we are joking, right away.
Yeah, I know. No, I was about to say I heard a noise outside my bathroom last night when I went to the toilet, and I swear it was Stephanie Sterling. Yeah. I was like, "Get out! Trying to get into my bathroom, you bloody trans!"
No, and what will they do when they're in there, eh?
I know.
Use your facilities.
I know. Right, maybe complain about video games.
Yeah. And
I could have segued into that.
Speaking of video games.
And speaking of trans people in bathrooms, do you know what they like to talk about in bathrooms, Stu?
What do they like to talk about in bathrooms, bro?
Video games.
Hey, video games.
Dear Christ. I'm going to try for some really surreal ones this year. That's my promise. We're going to have some surreal segues.
That's
because
your resolution.
They've always been grounded. They've always been grounded.
Absolutely.
But yeah, right. This week, bit different because I've not played anything. I've not played much. Well, I've been playing one game, but I'm going to save that because there's a new feature I want to do on the website and stuff. But it's against the storm. It's brilliant. You'll hear more about it. Trust me. But we're going to do a bit of a recap of some of the highlights of the year. So, not our favourite games. We're not going to have long discussions on why they're our favourite games. We might stop on a couple. But I'm going to run through a list. And we're just going to go, look, if you haven't played any of these, they really are worth you playing. And because I can get boring and don't know when to stop, Stu can interject whenever he wants and throw in a couple of his own that I may have missed. Maybe even some retro games. Who knows?
Who knows?
Probably some retro games. So, listen, if you didn't know, 2022 started in January of last year.
This is news to me.
I know. I mean, I thought it started about 3 years ago. I just, who knows what happened.
Yeah.
And listen, I didn't even realise what came out in January of 2022 because I'm still too busy playing Shovel Knight at that point. But we had some, Monster Hunter Rise came out on the PC. God of War came out on the PC. You had excellent indies such as Nobody Saves the World and Paparazzi, which is an absolute brilliant game. You really should try it. Not for broadcast, got its full release, which is for me, it's like a really good FMV game. It was a really good month for really good, was it month? A couple of months actually for FMV games, but not for broadcast. You kind of played this this TV broadcast editor who dealt with like news and politics shows, and you had to keep the channel running, and it would get deep into some politics and dark place. It was really, really good. But you had those sort of indies coming out. You had Life is Strange remake, the Oli Oli World, which I don't. Did you ever play the first two Oli Olis?
I played the first one. Yeah, I thought it was all right.
Yeah. Right. I loved the first two. Disappointed they honestly didn't call the third one Oli 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 Oi Oi Oi, because that would have been brilliant.
Yeah.
You've missed your opportunity now. But it's really good. But I don't think it got as much attention as the others. And to be honest with you, I bounced off it a fair amount of times. I keep trying to go back to it because I love the original Oli Oli and even Oli Oli 2. But this one, a bit strange. Just didn't hit me in the right way that I was expecting it to. Because it looks lovely and it looks like the exact sort of thing I would love, but didn't hit me. What was you? What did you? I mean, can you remember? We've got to go back here. What was like? Was there anything like early in the year that really hit you?
A massive wave of depression. Apart from that, well, luckily because I'm a massive nerd, I keep a list of what I've been playing, so it's dead easy to check. And I kind of got hold of a new old Mega Drive and was playing a bunch of Mega Drive games, but I was also not in January but in February it was March, Horizon Forbidden West. Oh
wow.
But I guess
in the future,
I know future games. I played the Neon White demo in beginning of February, well, mid-February. And that was great, and I instantly decided to get it because I'm a huge Mirror's Edge fan, and Ghost Runner more recently as well. So yeah, that kind of teaser in the works was the first thing I started to really look forward to for the year, because there's, in January they don't even really announce games for the year very much, and
apart from Alan Wake 2.
Yeah. That's announced
just casually drop that, this year. It's fine.
Well, yeah, that's true. So you get piecemeal news, but you don't get a wholesale dump of what's coming out. And all the dates change. Still waiting to see whether Starfield will actually get released this year. But so it was a sort of slowish start, and I didn't really pick up a AAA until March. But yeah, no, plenty of stuff going on for me.
Have I picked up a AAA this year? I can't remember. I'm sure when I go through my... So just so everyone listening knows, right? Fair play to Stu for remembering this, because I dumped this episode on him. How long we been going in this actual recording now? 6 minutes?
5 minutes.
I dropped it on him about 7 minutes ago. And he went, oh, okay then. So, brilliant. This is what he's got to deal with on a weekly basis, by the way. Where my ADHD brain goes, yeah, let's just do this one now, 5 minutes before we start. Anyway, we move on. So, after the early month, Elden Ring came out. Still not really played that properly. I got that with the intention of going, right, this is going to be my big game for the year. Still barely touched it.
Nope.
No. And I will do one day. but I probably could have picked that up for pennies. So lesson learned, think twice. It's just another day in paradise.
Is it though? But no, I never bothered with Elden Ring because I've tried really hard with the Soulsborns. I've put lots of hours into them. I even bought Demon's Souls for the PS5 this year, secondhand, so I could have a go with some instructions, see how I got on with it. And it's like, yeah, it's fine, but as I've said before, there's a trigger in your brain that makes it really satisfying, and I just don't have that trigger. It never becomes satisfying. My brain never gets past, I'm just doing the same thing in the same place over and over again. And I know that's not the totality of the experience. It's more to do with, how I'm getting on with it. But it just doesn't click enough for me to... And that's like, I can say that because I've put at least 10 hours into Demon's Souls over 2 different machines. 12 into Sekiro, not long into any of the others, but 22 hours worth probably of time in these things to decide properly that I played Bloodborne as well for a few hours, really didn't like it. So yeah, it's just not for me. So Elden Ring, game of the year, totally passed me by.
So Elden Ring, right, you put 22 hours into various other Soulsborne games. I put 21 minutes into Elden Ring before I went, I'm not ready for this. I'll do it later.
Will you ever be, though? That's the question.
I think I will be, because when I got into Bloodborne, I really got into Bloodborne. So I probably will be. But it doesn't help. It's the sort of game, I looked at it, my eyes weren't great at the time either. So I've got to find a moment where I can play it. And the problem is, it's such a big game in terms of file size. I don't want it just hanging around on my Steam Deck. So when I do get to the point where I go, I could play that now. I'm like, I've got to install it.
True.
But yeah. But what I did play that month, and the first game that made me go, do you know what, let's park Elden Ring, was one called Instruments of Destruction, which is a kind of like a sandboxy playground thing where you build vehicles of some description and you have to use them to destroy buildings, essentially. It's not great on the deck. Well, it wasn't because of the controls, but played it on the big screen and it was really good. But it's one that I think it's still in early access, or might be, but it keeps getting updates. It's one I do want to go back to, but a really cool game. But the big early standout for me was originally a mobile game called A Grand Mountain Adventure, which is like an isometric style snowboarding game where you got like this open world mountain. You go down, you got various different tasks you can do at your leisure, or just piss around on the slopes. You unlock new bits, unlock new mountains, and it's just a really nice cozy game. Came out the same week or within 6 days of another snowboarding game that was really good called Shredders, which has, I think, what we spoke about this on the podcast. It's got the worst box art I've ever seen, which will probably put a lot of people off, but it's a really, really, really good snowboarding game. But yeah, 2 in a week in March, so really good. But they also came out the same day as Tunic, which is, I don't know if it had its Xbox release earlier. I can't remember these things, but that came out on PC. That's really good.
It did, because I tried it on the Game Pass. Yeah. Yeah.
Excellent. See, Stu's notes are better than mine.
That was actually from memory.
Oh, cool. And also, not the final of my FMV games, because we've had one already, and obviously the other one was mentioned last week, so it might be my final, but not the final one I played. Anyway, Who Pressed Mute on Uncle Marcus, which took the idea of almost like the COVID thing, and everyone was doing like online quizzes. So it was online family quiz night, and you're there, you've got to find out who died. In fact, it wouldn't surprise me if this is where Rian Johnson got his idea for Glass Onion, because I saw a lot of similarities in that, where the person's dead, well, the actual person you're doing it for is dead, and you're there to investigate on their behalf, and there's poisonings and stuff like that. It's a really good FMV game. that lent heavily into real world situations to create quite a unique, mechanical, interesting game.
Indeed, yeah. I remember that episode because we called it "Who Pressed Mute on Uncle Brad."
Yeah, and we wish that mute button worked.
Yeah, that was my next line. Yeah. But, it's interesting. But, yeah, March for me, as I say, was Horizon Forbidden West, which is in my top 3 of the year because absolutely fantastic game, lots of problems, but also lots of genius. And it's just one of those salads where everything's chucked in and you pick out the bits that you like, but the bits that you leave behind are rubbish for you. And you don't you might not like tomatoes. You might be one of those people, one of those who goes to the kebab house and says, yeah, all the salad, but no tomatoes. Those weirdos. So you might want to leave bits out, but the bits that you do eat, in this case, in this crappy analogy, play, you really love. And yeah, it was just not just that, but like a game from much later in the year, is technically fantastic. And with all the problems that they've had this year with PC releases, with terrible stutter, with the way that they're not utilising the hardware properly, all of that caper, plus also some console releases being a bit naff and still struggling and having to be put on 30 frames per second, to have something that works so beautifully and runs so beautifully, it's just a joy to have because it's so polished that you enjoy it so much more. And it's kind of a standard bearer like that, and there are not enough of them around these days, so it's nice to see.
Oh yeah, 100%. I completely agree with you there. I enjoy the games, but I struggle with those sort of big games. But it's one I still really, 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 really want to play at some point, and I shall at some point. Just I've got to find the right window and wait for it to hit the right platform for me.
Sounds good.
Now, the end of March, we actually had, I think, the best week for indie releases in terms of a collective from March the 24th to March the 31st. So it started with the excellent point-and-click adventure Norco, which I spoke about on the podcast. Absolutely sublime point-and-click adventure. I preferred it to Disco Elysium. Just going to say that out loud now. I thought it was absolutely amazing, and if I was thinking back, I probably could have snuck that onto my Game of the Year list. It was that good. You also got the absolute fantastic puzzle game Patrick's Parabox, where you basically got to move around the level, slide things into other things, and progress. You could go from one that one of the boxes you slide in could actually be an entire level in and of itself. Had loads of little cool mechanics, and it was absolutely brilliant, brain teasing logic puzzle game. Absolutely wonderful. Fix Fox, which was just a superb adventure game with some cool mechanics set in space. And what was probably my puzzle game of the year, in the end, I would say, was Princess Farmer, which was a unique take on the match 3. We interviewed, the developer. Well, I interviewed the developers for this, and they were lovely people. And it was a game I still pop in and out of to this day, even after finishing it. I finished it on Switch. I got it again on PC, and I've finished it on PC, and I'm playing more of it still because I think it's just a fantastic, lovely little puzzle game. But yeah, that was a really good week, I think, for indie releases.
So that was what? The end of March, sort of beginning of April?
All the end of March. Yeah. Princess Farmer came out the 31st of March, and Norco came out on the 24th.
Yeah, the only thing that I didn't really play a lot of new stuff because of Horizon, but I did play, or I think around that time, the demo of The Cursed Knight, which is a new game coming out for Mega Drive. So not exactly a new system, but a good demo, a Mega Man styled game with some really nice visual touches, great big well animated sprites in the background, and really quite impressive. Whether I'll pick the full thing up when it comes out, not sure, but yeah, good demo. Might just pay for the ROM, because these things, they often, when they're new releases for old consoles, they often do like the ROM, which is right cheap, like around tenner, but they do a physical version they've had to make themselves, which obviously is like 60, 70, 80 quid kind of thing. So that's a big investment if you want to go for it. But yeah, it was all right. And apart from that, I played the demo of that Abriss or Abriss, the destruction, what's it called, physics-based destruction.
Really good game.
Thing.
Again, it's one I forgot about in my end of the year because I thought it came out last year.
Right, yeah. So
2 years ago, technically, but
yeah. Yeah, you really liked that one, didn't you?
Yeah. Oh God, yeah. That was unlike Instruments of Destruction, which has a similar premise. This is felt more of a puzzle game than an open world sandbox, and I absolutely adored that.
Nice, yeah. So
So April then, on the whole, right? I'm not actually going to stop and talk about any of these apart from the one of them at the end. But April saw Stacklads, which is Stacklads. I'm not going to talk about these, but he nearly went straight into it. Biota, Astral Ascent, Rush Rally, Abriss, End Cycle Versus, Teardown, Revita, Peglin, Turbo Sliders, Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, Dorfromantik, Save Room, Bug Snacks, Kaiju Wars, and The Gunk. What a month for indies that was.
wow.
It was just, I was the one where it just almost hit me, and I just went, I can't play all these games. I did across the year. I did play all those games across the year.
Nice.
But the one that stood out of all of those, and it's one that I recommend to anyone to play because you can get it on Switch and everything now, is Dorfromantik, which is technically a city builder, but it's a puzzle game. You get given these hexagonal I'm going to say it was 6-sided. Might not have been. Let's say hexagonal tiles. You put them down. You have to match them up to other tiles and build a sprawling environment. So you might have rivers that have to attach to rivers, roads, train tracks to train tracks, and houses. If you get into houses, you get bonuses, etc., etc. So it's a bit like take some of the mechanics of Carcassonne, the board game, and sort of brings that into a sort of like a digital environment and spins it off to something a bit more relaxing. Honestly, it's absolutely beautiful to look at. You've got there's a challenge mode where you've got to keep if you meet boat targets, you get your more tiles to play with, or when you finish, you go, do you know what? Just let me carry on playing. If you even when you fail, you just go, let me carry on playing. I like it how this whole world looks, and then you can build your own world. And yeah, it's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. It's such a standout title for that month in what was a bumper month.
Yeah, crazy amount of stuff coming in and out that time. Not a lot again on the kind of modern front that wasn't indie, but yeah, I always I put about 80 hours into Horizon, so that definitely took up all that month and part of the next one. And I think the only other stuff I was playing around that time was I got the Ninja Saviors Return of the Warriors, which is that that reimagining of Ninja Warriors that came out years ago on the SNES and has been tarted up and put on the Switch, which is a really good arcade game. Recommend people getting it if they get the opportunity. It's only dirt cheap. And I was playing some Neo Geo stuff and completed Nightmare in the Dark, which is that one that's a bit kind of Bubble Bobble-esque. Is yes. That static screen one. Yeah, that is really great. Really, really enjoyed that one. I don't think it ever got a home release. It was just it was obviously the ROM because I'm playing it on original hardware, but via a multi-cart style thing. And really good. Bizarre that it didn't arrive in the home. Got some incredibly well-designed bosses. Have a look at YouTube of some of the boss fights. They're really great. So that was a good month. I enjoyed playing that stuff.
And obviously, if you wish to try that one out yourself, you go out, buy yourself an arcade cabinet, because we don't condone any of that other mucky stuff.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, I know. If you can't buy it anymore, it's free game. If it's a AAA release, it's free game because there's usually some scum behind it. There you go. That's the first one of the year. It's okay to pirate if you can't buy something anymore, and if the company is scum. Now, May was interesting because there was some big releases in May on the indie scene. There's a theme to the stuff I play, by the way. It's mainly indie. But stuff I didn't really get on with that others did. So it would be remiss of me not to mention them. But the highlights of May were probably Citizen Sleeper, which I know quite a few people have had in their Game of the Year lists, and V Rising. Both of those came out in May, and I just... I see why they're like. I just couldn't get on with them. So I can't really comment too much on them. But it was saved a bit for me at the end of May with Golfy, which was the deck building... the deck building, sorry, not Roomba, robot golf ball roguelike, which was fun to play. I had my fill of it over a couple of months and then I moved on, but that was probably the standout title for me, you know, at the turning point of the year. Before, I can't count. This is only 5 months. But yeah, that was it for May for me, really. You know, just the 2 big releases just didn't do it for me.
I love the writing in Citizen Sleeper. I don't think the gameplay hung together particularly well as a game. I think they had some great ideas. I just think the execution wasn't perfect. It's something I reckon they'll come back and do, you know, in the next title. They'll have absolutely nailed it and it's going to be amazing. But yeah, really loved the look of it, the style of it. All of the aesthetic and the writing, as I say, was brill, and I really, really appreciated that, even though the game wasn't brill. But that month, a certain new piece of hardware dropped that we both picked up, which sort of changed the game, and that was the Steam Deck.
Was that May I got that?
It was May. It was May.
Who got theirs first? It was me, weren't it?
It was you, yeah. By a couple of weeks, I think.
Much to your chagrin. Those were the longest 2 weeks, weren't they, Stu?
I was almost coming down to your house to steal it, yeah.
Jesus, yeah. It feels like I've had it forever.
Yeah.
It just feels like it should... It's like, well, it makes so much sense. Oh, Christ, almost... No, right. Yeah, the Steam Deck came out. Wow.
Yep. So
it changed gaming. It changed my gaming life.
Oh, and mine. And it's not sort of like the tide swelled and then it hasn't receded. It's like the amount of time I play is now much higher than it was the year before, or even the day before.
Yeah.
And so it was all about. It was like this powerful console in your hands, and everyone was playing Vampire Survivors.
Yeah. Oh yeah. As well they should.
Absolutely.
But it's just. I don't know. I was, when it first got announced, I was like, yeah, whatever. I just can't see how that's going to work. I've seen handheld PCs before. They're rubbish. I was honestly down on it when it first got announced, and then it was like a $5 to pre-order. So I was like, do you know what? If I get that back, I've got a $5 in Steam credit if I don't have it or whatever. So yeah, stick a $5 down on it. And then I was like, do you know what? I probably won't get one until at least my next birthday. And then I was one of the early adopters, apparently. And I just... I'm not going to lie, right? I felt special for a short while. I felt so special for a short while. It's like I was one of the haves in gaming for once. It's like where people are having to ask me, "Oh my god, what's it like?" Do you know, like sometimes, like in the, like when you was younger, like someone got their import Dreamcast and it was out because it was out in like Japan 6 months before it came out in the UK, or they had a PlayStation or that one game that still hadn't come across yet. You're like, "Oh my god, what's it like? Oh, can I ever go? Can I ever go?" I was that person for once.
Yeah,
and it's, you know. I'm not gutted. I'm glad so many other people have got it. But I kind of sit there and just go, oh, everyone's got it now. I liked Steam Deck before it was cool.
Yeah, that's the nice, proper, mature reaction to have in these situations.
Yeah, I don't want my Steam Deck anymore. I do, trust me.
I know you do.
I love it more than my kids. I still want it around when they go to school.
Definitely.
Just in case social services are listening, I do love my kids more than my Steam Deck.
Lies. But the thing is, yeah, what is great about it is that, yeah, I obviously had that special feeling as well of new hardware, and that very few other people had, and it was really nice. But I was actually really chuffed when, and totally surprised when it stopped being this, oh, you can only get it if you pre-order, and the backlog is massive after that pre-order period, and blah blah blah. And I was really glad when you can just go on and buy it, because it seems to have, even if it was unintentional, that kind of steady rise has really done it good. You know, it's getting almost like a viral marketing campaign from that having happened, and I think it's spread much wider, and apparently it's already sold like 1 million units.
I know.
And that's like for something that's had no advertising outside of its own platform,
outside of geeks and nerds. Yeah, it's still, I still get looks. If I ever take it out in public, people still look at it and go, the f- is the size of that Switch?
Yep.
I was like, it's not a Switch.
No.
This could do damage. But it's, you said, it's like, if you'd have told me at the start of the year a new device would come on that would make me put some, like, not even bother with a Switch again, then I wouldn't have believed you. Purely because the Switch was, I'm a handheld gamer. I realise that now more than anything. I'm a handheld gamer over anything. And the Switch done the job of playing like some good quality games. It was an indie. It was the go-to for if you wanted a good collection of indies handheld. The Steam Deck came along and just it felt good in the hands. The weight. Everyone was concerned about the size and the weight of the thing, weren't they? Before they got their hands on it, and then when you got your hands on it, you went, "No, this feels good." And now I can't hold a Switch. I get my hands hurt holding the Switch. And it's a me problem. Don't get me wrong. And it's still a fantastic bit of hardware. But yeah, the Steam Deck is brilliant. If there's something that's not compatible, you can bet your bottom dollar you can almost get it compatible. And it's just growing. Like the library grows every day because more and more becomes compatible. It gets that green verified status. Hey, I've even managed to on the original Gran Turismo. I couldn't. I went for a stage where I couldn't play that because it was very difficult. Because pressing A to accelerate and X to accelerate and square to brake didn't feel natural. But now on the Steam Deck, with ease, I could just stick those on the triggers for me, and you can play it like a modern racing game. And it makes those games that haven't aged controller-wise play brilliantly. And it's just an amazing bit of hardware.
Yeah, it really is. And then, obviously, practically all my gaming shifted to it, at least for a while. And it's never really, it's going to be the primary device or its successor for me, probably, pretty much forever. And it's kind of thrown into doubt whether I carry on buying expensive PC hardware in the future, that sort of thing. So, but yeah, other than that, and if we're all right to move into June, I got that Mario Strikers, which that was a bit rough, to be quite honest with you. Gameplay was all right, but the content was really thin, and it's all right in multiplayer, but it's that kind of level of childlike madness that Nintendo like to chuck at you, like with Smash Brothers, which I know can be technical, but people play it as a party game, and it's a party game really, where you should be able to hand the controller to a 3-year-old or a 90-year-old and they'll enjoy it. So it wasn't that much for me. It wasn't a great release, but I got that what's it called, that Wonder Labyrinth game as well, which was playing on deck, and that was great. So it's a Metroidvania style thing. Yeah, perfect for the deck. Nice to the first sort of new one that I'd played properly and through since Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, whatever it's called. And yeah, it's a really excellent game. Highly recommend people pick it up. It's got a boss rush at the end, which is a pet hate of mine. But apart from that, good all the way through. About 5 hours, 6 hour game tops. Yeah, so June was pretty good.
Oh yeah, it's Neon White came out in June. One of your games of the year came out in June. Yep. All Shredder's Revenge. You had Redout 2 came out, which is a Wipeout clone, really good. You had Railroute. Right, technically you didn't have Rail Route. You had Rail Route, the story of Josich, which was a kind of prelude to the main game that gave you a bit of a story tutorial as a standalone thing. A really good idea, by the way, from the developers of Rail Route to release a standalone story tutorial for free.
Yeah.
Really good. And it's a really good way of introducing you to all the mechanics of the game and stuff like that. And it gives me an excuse to mention Rail Route, which is one of my, I'm going to say, my favourite all-time games. It's really shut up there. I absolutely adore that game. But because we're talking that Steam Deck came out and the Switch and stuff like that, one of the games I was really going to miss on the Switch was Grindstone. Which I had on the Switch, but that got a PC release at the end of June, so I went 6 weeks at most before being able to start that all again. And it's just, it actually made it stand out. The slightly bigger screen and everything just made it better for some reason. So that was really, 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 really good. I love Grindstone. And I should have remembered that in my end of year list. This is why we're doing a recap.
So many
games. July was interesting.
It was, yeah.
So Klonoa came out, even though I didn't really play that until November. Urbex City Builder, which is just a really cool city builder that uses the resources you gather, natural resources, no economy stuff in there as such, and it's almost like a puzzle city builder. It's very hard to explain. It's really unique and it's really good. Is what I'll say. Escape Academy came out, which done really well and sort of became quite popular on the old internet. Power Wash Simulator got a 1.0 release, and that is some of the most cathartic gaming you will play. Endling came out, Extinction is Forever, which is both one of the most beautiful and most miserable games you will play. It had me in tears at points. I really wanted to care about these digital foxes that didn't have a backstory. I didn't want them to die, but things can happen. Stray came out, which my kids loved. It was a pretty good game, not deserving of all the hype that it got, unfortunately, but was still pretty good. Multiverses came out, don't care. We also got another point and click I feel was absolutely brilliant. In Lord Winklebottom Investigates. I remember talking about this one on the podcast, and it was an absolute joy. Characters are brilliant, the writing's brilliant, the gameplay's brilliant. It was just brilliant. And to finish off July, we got Sweet Transit, economy, train building, city builder thing, pretty decent. Digimon Survive, I've just started playing that, and dear God, I regret it. It just doesn't feel good, which is a shame. And Revolt, which was basically just got a straight up re-release. And you know what? It's the laziest of efforts, but I enjoy it. Revolt's a really good game.
Excellent. Yeah, no, Stray was a funny one. I played it on the deck. It was one of the first hugely hyped kind of games that I played on there, because obviously Vampire Survivors was massive, but it wasn't hyped, it grew. And yeah, it was kind of almost the inverse of Vampire Survivors in that it kind of had all this pre-release hype and then didn't really live up to it. But I really appreciated what the developers were doing. It was lovely and it had heart and it looked fantastic.
Oh, it's beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah,
to look at, yeah.
Yeah,
and I would have been happy with that just being a you're a cat wandering around simulator.
I think a lot of people thought... Yeah, I think a lot of people, including myself, thought that it would be more like that, and that it would be like 3 hours and it would be a walking simulator style thing, but as a cat, where it was more as a sort of a puzzly action. And I think they, like you said, I think they could have just stuck to the walking simulator style things and whatever they call it, interactive sim, and that would probably have been a better idea. But again, no complaint, no criticism. It was still a good experience, and not quite a top 10, but definitely one that I'm glad that I played.
Oh, 100% glad I played it. I mean, say the letdown is a bit harsh. It's just I think it just got oversold to what it could be, and it wasn't quite that, which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
Now, we hit August, Stu. Okay. And August is almost reminiscent of April because we had 2 Point Campus came out, the follow-up to 2 Point Hospital. Brilliant game. If you love Theme Hospital, Theme Park, all of those sort of games, and you love 2 Point Hospital, it's basically that, but in a university, and it's brilliant. The amazing, outstanding, wonderfully short experience with lovely visuals, lovely character, Lost in Play. That was just absolutely brilliant as well. Arcade Paradise came out. That was good. Cult of Lamb came out. Kind of took the indie world by storm. Pissed off Christians. So that's always good. Because it had sort of like some of the right-wing churchgoer type people complaining about how it's, promoting Satanism and worship. When it's not quite doing that. If you actually played the game, you'll see differently. Spider-Man Remastered hit PC, and therefore... so, Spider-Man Remastered is a big deal, in a way, because that was Sony's... another of their big releases. It hit PC and was Steam Deck verified. And I think that was the moment a lot of people went, oh, okay. This bad boy could handle some stuff. Because you was playing a game that would never be able to be played on any other handheld, and suddenly you could play it handheld. Yeah. And not via streaming. Don't get me wrong, you could Moonlight or whatever, other stuff, whatever, but no, you could play this natively on a handheld. I think it's the game that probably made people sit up and take notice. Not the one they all played, but the one that made a lot of people sit up and take notice. And it's also a brilliant game.
Yeah, and it really helped, I think, that... I mean, we've talked a lot about how well Sony generally handle these conversions, and how they promote them to the PC. And one of the things that they stuck in on the PS5 version was the 40 frames per second option.
Yes.
To sync up with people who are playing mostly on TV. And then around the same time, well, actually a little bit before it, I think, the deck got the option to run stuff at 40 hertz as well, for 40 frames per second lock. And the difference between 30 and 40 is like night and day. It's crazy. It's like not just kind of a few bits better. It's tons better and much smoother with much less input lag, and that really helped with, like you say, with the publicity around Spider-Man on the PC and on the deck, particularly on the deck. And like you say, playing such a big in terms of content and size game on such a small device, but is brand new and highly technical, is kind of a bit revelatory, and really, really impressive stuff. Totally. Also, I just want to mention, there was I forgot to mention, back in June, Neon White came out. Actually got its full release then. I was kindly gifted that by someone on the forum who wanted to support, but wanted to show other ways of supporting rather than just dropping some cash and stuff like that. So gifted me a copy of Neon White, which was really good. There's a reason I mentioned that, being gifted a game, because the next game that came out was Rollerdrome. If I remember correctly, a certain someone gifted me that as well. Yeah, don't know who that could have been, Stu. I had no idea. Some mystery person, but yeah. Really good game, that. Good. Flawed again, very ambitious, though. It's one of those things nobody, in their right mind at least, cares if somebody shoots for the stars and doesn't quite make it. It's the ambition and the challenge and the newness that is important. And so it was a little bit janky in terms of how things slotted together in a gameplay manner, like fitting together all of the rollerblading tricks with all the shooting and timing and comboing. was a little bit too much, especially with the control scheme. But, you know, there was a lot of good in there, and it looked fabulous. It's like my favourite looking game of the year, I think, in terms of aesthetic. And, yeah, very, very worthy.
It nailed that 70s future look.
Yeah.
Even the box art for it, or the cover art, is very much like you'd expect that in a 1970s sci-fi job.
Yeah, absolutely. The way that they went through that retro futurism of you know, that kind of brownie beigey orangey 70s, colourful, kind of thing. Absolutely brilliantly done and very evocative. So yeah, a really good release, even if it wasn't a perfect game.
Another perfect game, moving on to a perfect game for Steam Deck, because it was a perfect game for the Vita, it was a perfect game for the Switch. It's just brilliant. More people need to play it. Don't Die Mr. Robot came out on PC, got its PC release, and it's just absolutely outstanding. I was number 1 on the leaderboards for a very brief moment, spent a lot of time at number 2, but it's absolutely brilliant. Play it. It's basically pacifist mode from Geometry Wars, but expanded out. It's brilliant. Curse to Golf came out. The 2D golfing roguelike, absolutely brilliant. Midnight Fight Express came out, which was the only way I could describe it is a isometric John Wick 'em up, I suppose, is what I would describe it as. That came out. F1 Manager 22 came out, bit disappointing. Now, one of my absolute favourite games of all time, Immortality, came out. We're not even going to talk about that because you know how long I will go on about it, Stu. But,
I do, yeah.
But it also came out the same day as a game that surprised me at how much I enjoyed it. And that was Tiny Kid, which was a indie take on the Pikmin genre. And it was lovely. It was just a nice wholesome game with lots of fun challenges that, you know, you could play on your own and have fun. You could play it with kids and have fun. It was just absolutely adorable. And it's probably the surprise of the year for me, because I looked at it and just went, oh, another one of these wannabe Pikmin games that's going to be rubbish. Because there's a lot more than you might think, by the way. That's not just me being over the top. There's quite a few more of those that you might think, but this one really, really good. If you get a chance, check that out.
Nice.
So that's through June, that's through July, and through August we've got now. In September we had Railbound, good puzzle game. Not much else to say about that. The Zachtronics Solitaire collection came out. If you thought Solitaire was easy, then just add a bit of Zachtronics to it. And all of a sudden, you get a really nice collection of obtuse Solitaire games that make you feel clever as fuck when you manage to beat one of them. Absolutely adore that. And again, brilliant on deck. Could do with a couple of quality of life improvements that I think people are still learning about with when it comes to handheld on PC, so maybe down the line. And then a game I mentioned to you, Stu, which I said run absolutely terribly on deck, but I like. There's something about it I really, really like, and that's Trail Out, which was the flat out style Burnout mixture type game from I think they're a Ukrainian developer who's making this game. It's got really bad cheesy acting in it. The graphics are all over the place. The frame rate sucks, but there's a charm to it, and it's a game I want to see do really, really, really well. It runs okay on a decent beefy PC, but it doesn't work well on Steam Deck. Maybe one day, but it was the big surprise in September for me that I just thought it was just a lovely, enjoyable game for what it was, and that was really cool. Nice and early in September, that one. I love to see like new developers or small developers trying things, even if they reach for the stars, even if they don't quite hit.
Definitely. Yeah, it's always like we say, it's what you want, and you'll pluck so much out of that, it's one of those things that becomes either a cult classic, or it fires you up ready for their next release. It just keeps you interested in gaming, it's what you want. And like, on that topic, like a couple of months before that, you touched on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge, which, again, one of my top 3 of the year. Absolutely amazing beat 'em up. Really plays on agility and your ability to control the screen from one end to the other in a way that wasn't done by Streets of Rage 4. So it has its own niche, which is great. But then, I think mainly in late August and early September, that was kind of sort of all taken up with Cyberpunk for me, because I put 100 hours into that, and that was because being able to play on the Steam Deck. And so, it was almost as if it was released in 2022, because it was that 106 patch was like the game that it should have been on release. So it was the point at which it was worth replaying or playing through for the first time. And it's just a fantastic game. It's the best of that RPG type, action RPG kind of. I'm not sure how to describe it really, because they do their own thing really, but yeah, absolutely brilliant. I know there's still controversy around it and the way the studio operates, but as a game, absolutely just blew me away, and 100 hours just flew by.
Yeah, oh no, totally. You are right. There is some controversy behind the studio. It comes to something where you would look at it and go, well, they should be the ones you really focus on because they are the worst, but they're not. They're not even in the top 5.
Yeah.
Which just shows why we concentrate so much more on indies over AAA on the whole. Now, September for me on the whole, actually. I didn't play any of these games that came out as much as I wanted to initially, purely because I think I was like knee-deep in doing Spider-Man and completing Spider-Man through. But The Wandering Village came out. It's one I backed on Kickstarter, and the little I've played of that is really good. Four Tales came out, which was really good. It's a deck building adventure roguelike game that tells a story with each card you play, and it was a really interesting one. Trombone Champ came out, which was the meme game of the year, I suppose, where you basically, it's a rhythm game where you play as a trombone. You use the analog stick to basically move up and down with the notes. The idea is you're not meant to be very good at it, and that's the fun in the game. But it's good. You know what? The little I played of that, I enjoyed, and I probably will go back to it at some point. It's fine. Session got its 1.0 release, and that's a brilliant skateboarding game. Recommend that to anyone. Monkey Island, Return to Monkey Island came out. I've played a little bit of that. I really need to get into that properly, but I want to make sure I can spend loads of time with it. Slime Rancher 2 hit early access. That's really good. Prodeus came out. You played Prodeus, didn't you?
I did, yeah. It's a really, really good boomer shooter. It's got great level design, and you kind of get to the stage where you almost expect great retro graphics, even though they're still hard to create. You kind of, even somebody as such a veteran as myself take it for granted sometimes, which is not fair. So I kind of force myself to take the time and think, actually this is beautifully done. And two things really jump out. One is that you can play it in the build engine style, so like Duke Nukem, where you have 2D sprites but with 3D backgrounds. But it also has fully 3D models, and you can play the game with 3D backgrounds and 3D models if you want. So it's not like it's just a throwback. You can play it as a modern game. And the second thing is the level design, which is really excellent. It's very much in the Doom style of, it's a little puzzle box stacked on top of each other, and you've got to find keys and hidden routes and all of this, and crawl through different sections and sewages and all sorts like that. And it's a really, really fun game, comparatively cheap, and definitely worth picking up.
Yeah, I've got it now. I just haven't got around to playing it yet. It's one I do want to sit down and play at some point, but other stuff keeps getting in my way because, hey, Why be a PC game if you're not going to have stuff just sitting in a backlog, hey?
I know, right? You've got to have at least 200 games that you've not played, otherwise.
One day, right, the arse is going to completely fall out of video games, right? Because the arse is going to fall out of the world. And I know I've got 2,000 odd games available to me when that does happen. So, you know, they're digital, so I probably won't get them. But
I was going to say,
in my mind, if it starts to look like the arse is going to fall out the world, I will get a big fuck off hard drive, and I will download everything.
I think that's a sensible option. Yeah, sit in your little bunker, just playing on your Steam Deck, using car batteries to power it.
But yeah, I've got, you know, hey, that's backlogs for the future. Still in September, Kena Bridge of Spirits came out. It's a game I got really cheap in a sale towards the end of the year, though, and I've just started. Beautiful game, absolutely beautiful, 3D adventure type thing. Don't know much about it because I've not got that far, but looks good and all the reception of it seems good. Dome Keeper came out, which is a roguelike where you get basically a dome that's on a, like, you crash landed on an alien planet, you get a dome over, you've got to protect it from external things, but you've got to mine to get the resources to do it, and obviously the more, being a roguelike, the more you play, the more you get longer term bonuses and upgrades that help you go further and do more and protect better, and you die a lot, and it's a really good fun game, a nice distraction sometimes. And then sort of like moving to sort of like October, and we're starting to slow down a bit, I think. With starting to slow down now. Asterigos came out, which was an okay game that I want it to be better. It's 3D fighting action. Yeah, I was expecting more. Stardeus came out, which is a city builder on a spaceship. Essentially, you've got to kind of bring the spaceship back to life. Blah blah blah. Usual fare. The best Lego game came out. So Lego Bricktales came out in October, which is not to be confused with Lego Builder's Journey, which is Lego Builder's Journey wanted to be Lego Bricktales, despite coming out before it, but just wasn't. Yeah. Lego Bricktales is what I want from a Lego game. You've got the adventurous story, but then you've got a proper Lego playset. You can build bridge, like the base of it is you'll get this like dioramic level, and you need to build a bridge to get somewhere, and you can build that bridge, and you could do it as crude as you like, or go for this most aesthetically pleasing thing. As long as you can get over that bridge, you do it, but you build them in levels, and then you test them out, and it's brilliant. It's what a Lego game should be, and you know how I want Lego games. Like, I don't want to go back to like the Lego Star Wars style games. Now they're done for me. They're in the past. This is the sort of thing I want to see from a Lego game. Actually making use of the Lego properly where you do it. And yeah, Lego Bricktales is really good.
Yeah, it's on my list. I played Builder's Journey and I thought it was really nice, but I wanted more. Like you say. So yeah, I'll be getting that at some point without a doubt. And other than that, I didn't really touch a lot in October. It was like, scrubbling around for little bits and pieces, just short experiences. And yeah, I think until the Christmas period where I got a load of games that I'm going to talk about, that it was kind of quiet.
I'm only at the start of October, and I guarantee you played one of these games.
Oh yeah.
Because it came out in October technically. Triangle Strategy, Stu, no. But Triangle Strategy came out. I got review code for that. I think I spoke about it on the podcast. I really, really like it. I haven't got a clue what I'm doing. But I do want to play it properly. I want to spend time with it and learn how to play it properly. I kind of fudge my way through what I managed to do, but it's really good. New PGA Tour came out from the golf club people. Really good golf games. I don't know what else to say. Pixel Cup Soccer came out, which was a pretty decent retro football game. Not much else to say. It was just fun.
Well, yeah. We talked about it briefly.
Yeah.
I got that as well, and it's really good in a lot of ways. My main complaint is that it's really bizarre that the players clump up around the person on the ball like they do in playground footy when you're a kid. They don't spread out anywhere near well enough, and that might be a feature rather than a bug, but it makes it less satisfying. And you can still make a great, you can have a great game, a great match out of it, and do some cool stuff. And it's very simple. But I think just that one little change of making the AI stand off you a little bit, so your passing was more integral, would have been a much better change to it. But still good fun. Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't overly expensive. It was just a good fun, pick up and play football game. Marvel Snap came out. No one cares. So Warhammer 40,000 Shooters, Blood and Teeth, which is a Metal Slug style game in the Warhammer 40,000 world with humour and cartoon graphics. Yeah, it's good. I think we spoke about this at the time with this. I don't know another series as Warhammer 40,000 that is spread across so many genres. It's ridiculous.
I know, right? They really don't shy away from exploiting the IP, and it's like a several billion-dollar company, so they can kind of afford to take risks, but the risks seem to pay off. They seem to be very commercially aware, and they don't seem to misjudge their market very often when it comes to video games.
I was literally about to say, what next? Are they going to do a sports title? Oh wait, they have in Blood Bowl.
Exactly. Yeah, years ago.
Yeah. But that's getting a third one later this year. Early this year, actually. February sometime. Can't wait. Batora Lost Haven came out. It's a good 2D Diablo-style game, is the best way to put it. Persona 5 Royale came out. Royal. I keep saying Royale. It's not Royale. It's Royal. That came out, and I've said all I need to say about that. Sackboy came out. That's a really good platformer. Probably already out on PlayStation. I don't know, but it came out on PC.
That was one of those that came out on the PS4 and PS5, and the PC release was one of the ones with terrible optimization and stutter. That is one of the main.
They've updated it though. It has been updated.
Yeah,
and I enjoy it. It's a fun game.
Yeah, no, I mean, I only say that to say this, which is that, there were a lot of games like that this year on PC, which was disappointing. Yeah. But the Steam Deck kind of gets around that by creating its own shader cache each time it loads a game. So that's another reason why the Steam Deck's the best.
Yes. It's the year of the deck. So will 2023 be. But yeah, I'm glad Sony have kept Sackboy alive, because I absolutely love him as a mascot.
Yeah.
He shouldn't have personality, but he does.
Yes. It's great design, and ill-served by the controls in the original games, the Little Big Planet games.
But we have a Sackboy here. I'm not getting rude or anything like that. We actually have a little plush Sackboy, and he would often go on top of our Christmas tree. This year it was Pikachu though, but Sackboy would often go on top of our Christmas tree.
Very cute.
And do you know what? This is one I can actually say it and mean it now. And this little known game, this tiny little game that came out of nowhere sort of and took the world by storm, came out in Vampire Survivors. And we're not going to talk about it because we have done and we will do again. But just, it's brilliant. It's just the archetypal, you don't need to have realistic graphics and spend billions and billions or millions of pounds on deep story and cutscenes and 3D worlds to make a great game. You can, don't get me wrong, but it just goes, we're not the ones asking for these amazingly realised worlds. We just want good games. And Vampire Survivors, I think, will go down up there with the likes of your Tetris, your Space Invaders, your Lara Crofts, your Halos as one of the most important and greatest games of all time.
Yep. Absolutely.
Now, November, we are slowing down. We got Against the Storm came out on November the 1st. Look, I'm just going to gloss over it. It's early access. It will be in my 2023 Game of the Year list, but it's my Game of the Year for 2023 already. I don't. Whatever comes out, this is when I declared Immortality my Game of the Year in there. Okay, whatever comes out has got to be special to beat this, and I will talk more about this next week. Okay. Yeah, WRC Generations came out, which is the final rally game from these particular developers before it goes over to EA. And they went out with a bang. Absolutely brilliant rally game. A Little to the Left came out, which is just a quirky puzzle game of organisation. Absolutely brilliant. And then one you played, Stu, but at Christmas time, or your birthday time, because it was a birthday or Christmas gift, whichever order you wanted that to be, Lunistice came out.
Yay! Yeah.
Did you like Lunistice?
Oh, it's so good. So yeah, it's a platformer very deliberately in the 32-bit style of the kind of PS1, Saturn and N64 era. It's got a lot of Mario and Sonic style in there, jumping on a lot of floating platforms in full 3D. So it's got bits of like everything really, you know, it's Bubsy and any of those kinds of things, Crash Bandicoot, but it's just really, really excellent. It's comparatively short, it's about 4 hours, maybe even less if you're actually good at games, like unlike myself, and you can fail over and over again, and it's fine. You don't have lives, but it has time markers, and the better that you do, the better score you get and stuff like that. And you have to collect stuff as well, which counts towards your score. So it's it's very much like Sonic in that way. But it looks lovely. It's beautifully designed. The layout of the levels is really clever. There's some repetition a little bit, but not much. It's it's very, very well done for such a small team. And yeah, it was a total surprise. Came out of nowhere. Played that at Christmas. Some very kind person gifted it to me, so I enjoyed that very much. But we have to remember, in November, God of War Ragnarok, which I'd forgotten because I played it for, I suppose in total about 13 or 14 hours, and I just gave up in the end. I'd kind of had enough of what it was putting down, I'd picked up, I'd eaten enough of the rich banquet that it had placed before me, and I was stuffed, and a lot of it was filler. It was like getting... this great meal has got like lots of, like the analogy for Horizon Forbidden West. There was all this food there, but in this case, most of it was rubbish, and the bits that you picked out were good, but you were forced to eat your way through, 2 tons of unseasoned mashed potatoes as well. So yeah, for me, bit bland, bit overlong. Great core of a game, but not enough of that. That was spread too thinly over too much bread, like they say in Lord of the Rings.
No, yeah. I forgot there's other systems by this point. In my gaming life, it's like, oh, yeah, there are other systems out there. I forgot about them. Because, so Tactics Ogre came out, which I've started playing, and that's pretty good. Flat Eye, which was a really good... economy resource manager set in a weird dystopian future where you run a garage, like a petrol garage type convenience store. Really good. Needs some optimization in terms of accessibility, but it's good. Somerville, which is a game I really like, but run like absolute dog crap on the Steam Deck, so it still doesn't run well, which is unfortunate, but it's a really good game. Zero Sievert. Obviously my game of all time, because I got bribed with a box which I then gave to a homeless person to keep warm. Yeah. But it's a survival game, really interesting, good premise, and I enjoyed my time with it. I'll probably go back to it at some point when when I'm looking for something of that ilk to play. Oakenfold came out, which is a tactics-based game. Really good, nice and simple to play. But it's, gets more and more complex, in the vein of Into the Breach, I suppose, more than anything, but on a slightly bigger scale. Why have one Spider-Man game when you can have two? Because Miles Morales hit PC as well. I got that as a Christmas gift. I've not touched it yet. I will be touching it soon. RXC, Rallycross Challenge, hit early access. That's a really good top-down isometric racing rallycross game that is still got work to be done to it, but highly recommend that to anyone who likes those sort of games. My disappointment of the year was Soccer Story. That came out. Just didn't like it. Found it bland, boring, obtuse. And that was it for November.
Yeah, well, that was it for me for November, although I think very early December is when I started playing Resident Evil Village. So that was a good one. Oh, it's not obviously released that this year, but the DLC that gave the third-person view, which is what I wanted to play it in, came out. So, yeah, technically new. And, yeah, I really enjoyed playing it. It's a very good game, very enjoyable. Not in the top 5 of Resi games. Maybe not even in the top 10. Maybe in the top 10. But probably only just in my list, at least. But still, that's a good, you're talking about high-level stuff here because there's some cracking games. And, yeah,
it's just below Resi 6, yeah?
Never even played it.
Resi 6 is a good game, just not a good Resi game.
I will eventually play it, definitely, yeah.
Oh, you've got to. If you're a Resi fan, you've got to.
I will. I promise you.
So, into December, the end of the year. But we're not done with absolute bangers either. So, Marvel's I played 2 AAA games, by the way.
Oh my God.
Actually, the second one, you can tell me if it counts as AAA or not. And you'll find out why in a minute. So, the first game I played was Midnight Suns, Marvel's Midnight Suns, which is a tactics game in the ilk of XCOM, etc., 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 but with a Marvel superhero aesthetic. Really good. I'm still playing through that slowly but surely. Dwarf Fortress came out. I haven't got a clue what I'm doing, but yeah, it's out and I'm enamoured with it. I really like it, but I haven't got a clue what I'm doing. I don't think I ever will, but I like playing it. So, Lidl or Aldai, or Edel, so Toges, we still haven't worked out how to say this yet, no one's corrected me, Toads,
I really don't know.
Togies.
It's a mystery.
No, I know. That's a game in and of itself. That came out, and honestly, it's really, really, really good. Open world, puzzle, platformer, you kind of do things and stuff and get blocks and build blocks to make bridges and get to places you couldn't do before, and it's just a really, really good game. And I highly recommend it. And if you know what it's called, please send me a voice recording of what it's actually called so I can understand it. Ixion came out, and I spoke about this and just went, the idea's good, but it lent its name to the title of one of our podcasts that a couple of weeks back, juggling with one ball, because we said that's what the game is. It's like it teaches you how to juggle one ball and then goes, here's 15 of them, off you go. And yeah, I tried again. It's not fun, unfortunately. Premise is good, the presentation's good, it's just not fun. Then Wavetail came out. That is absolutely sublime. Absolutely love that. Everyone should give that a go. You can finish it in a few hours, and it's well worth it. Now, is this AAA? Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion.
Ooh, good question.
Now, it's from a AAA publisher. That is for sure, but it's a second-tier game.
I think it's a 2.5.
Yeah. It's just short in it. It's between AA and AAA in it.
Yeah.
It's, I think undervalued, underappreciated on the PSP release, but it's still from a massive developer.
Yes.
Really enjoyed it, by the way. Really, really, really enjoyed Crisis Core, and my plan is to make this the first game I complete of 2023. So I plan on completing 12 full games in 2023. And River City Girls came out too. Really enjoyed that. And one did come out I got review code for, but I've only just been able to get hold of it properly. And I've not tried it. It's Lil Gator game, and I'll let you know more about that in the future. And finally, do you remember in 2021 I played a game called The Ramp?
No. Oh, yes, because it was a coffee game.
It was our first cup of coffee game.
Yeah, I remember. Yep.
So the developer of that has made a game called The Block, which is a city builder with no goals, no end game, nothing. You could just choose a block that could be a 3x3 grid, a 4x4 grid, a 5x5 grid. I can't remember what it goes up to. And you just plop things down in it on that little block. And it's basically a tiny little city builder that you play for 5 minutes if you want, quarter of an hour. Put it down, maybe come back to it another time. It's just, it does exactly what The Ramp does in that brilliant way. £2.9p. So another cup of coffee game. It's brilliant. So you know what? Get that and The Ramp for the price of a coffee and a cake. Nice.
And for me, the last game of the year is a game that I'm still playing now and that I got for Christmas and that came out in July and is a AAA game. So why did I not pick it up in July? Well, lots of reasons, but that game is Xenoblade Chronicles 3 on the Switch. Okay. Yes. And it took a while for me to get interested in it, but there were certain reactions from certain people who I trust which were saying that it was really excellent. So I thought, okay, well, I'll put it on the Christmas list, see what happens. And yes, I got it. And it's a cracker. It's really good. It's a
cracker. You've got to do it properly, Stu. Come on.
Yeah. Again, for the kids, to relate to the youth.
Right. What was it? It's a what sort of game is it?
So it's like an action RPG again, but it's more in the style of Final Fantasy XII, I would say. And if you've played the first game on the Wii, Xenoblade Chronicles, which came out in about 2010, I think, something like that. So it's a futuristic sci-fi but fantasy also kind of a game where there are mechs but there are swords and all that kind of caper. It's very futuristic, it's very JRPG, it's very Japanese superhero styled as well in places. But what sets it aside is it's got a really interesting story, and it's about hard to say without really spoiling it, but it's about youth and about exploitation, not in the nasty, sexual way, or even physical.
Not in the Ghislaine Maxwell way.
No, we're not in that kind of territory. But more.
There's no pedo princes about at all.
No, for once, no. But it's more to do with it, like how war and aggression exploits youth, and it's very, very nicely done and clever, beautifully localized. So people who aren't English, British, might be a bit kind of like, what does that mean? Because there's a lot of English colloquialisms in it. But obviously that works for me. But it's traditionally gameplay wise a JRPG, and it's really good. I've been enjoying that very, very much. So that was the game that's capped off the year for me.
Yes. I've tried so many times to get into it, and just haven't been able to. But I want to. So I don't know. It's interesting. It's an interesting game, and I'm glad people enjoy it, and I get the appeal. But it's just not one I've ever been able to find my way into enjoying, unfortunately.
Nope, fair enough. No worries.
It's good. It's a really good, I think, mix of games have come out this year. I mean, a good mix of games comes out every year, in all fairness. What I do just want to point out, though, I have been playing a lot of 360-based racers over the past week. I've been sort of gunning it on pure split second, blur, and also I'm going to take the part of the name out, but Unbounded as well, because the game deserved better. It didn't deserve to get the Ridge Racer title because it wasn't a Ridge Racer game. It was just a very, very good arcade racer. But yeah, Ridge Racer Unbounded, I really enjoyed that. More people should play that. You can get it for like pennies on Steam, and it plays well on Steam Deck. So there you go.
Yeah, no, I bought that in the Steam sale and a bunch of other stuff. I've quickly had a go. Seems very good. We'll put more on it. And I also bought a ton of VR stuff in the sale as well, including Hubris, which is quite a big release. So I'm looking forward to. I've had a quick go again. Seems good. Need to put more time on it, but yeah, went a little bit crazy in the Steam sale and still only paid about £20, so that's not bad going.
Fair enough. And I know you love it when I do this to you, Stu. Right, we're going to finish off.
Crap! Here we go.
But do you know when I just throw something at you? You don't have time to prepare.
Go on. What you mean, like every week?
Yeah. Yeah. So as I said, I know you love this. Right, it's the first one of the year. Right, I want you. What's your out there gaming prediction for 2023? And keep it light-hearted. We're not sort of like, are they going to finally bring down Bobby Kotick or anything like that, because we want to keep it light-hearted for this one. It's a light-hearted episode.
So I think Starfield, if it comes out, will be underwhelming, maybe. I think people will be like, why is this taking so long? It's pretty, but it's not that different, maybe, which isn't a very positive thing to say. I think they'll announce the Sonic Frontiers 2, even though it's going to be like 3 years away. But
it's rubbish, apparently. Why?
Well, yeah.
That doesn't stop them, does it?
No. In terms of out there, I tell you what, I would love it if they shadow dropped Metroid Prime 4. That would be absolutely amazing.
I'd be happy with a gameplay trailer.
Well, yeah.
just something other than a logo. See, I'm going for, right, Steam Deck centric, or Steam centric. One, I think in time for the holidays next year, Steam Deck hits retail stores in America and the UK at least, with a big push.
Yeah.
Steam Controller 2 comes out, which is designed more around the Steam Deck controls rather than the original Steam Controller controls. And I think we get Linux support for Game Pass native installation.
Oh. Yeah, well, I really hope that last one definitely happens, because that would be really good.
Yes.
Yeah, that's really
as good
needed.
as streaming is. There's a couple of games where I go, I want to have it just native still. I forget. Or allow me a way with Game Pass to actually have the individually streamed games as games in my Steam library. That will do.
Yeah. Well, yes. But I think if they release an app for a Linux-based app for Game Pass, that'd be so good. Because I have a salutary lesson about that. I started playing Persona 5 Royal on the deck via Game Pass, and I had to leave it for something. I can't remember what. Something in normal human life cropped up, and of course it logged me out. I was away for too long for it, and it logged me out, and I hadn't saved, and I lost about an hour and a half of gameplay. And
I love Persona, but going back and repeating an hour and a half worth of gameplay is not where it's at.
No. So I bought it at that point. I was like, sod this, buying it. And then it was all right, and I could just skip through all the cutscenes, and it took me about 5 minutes to get back to where I was. But so an app for the game, for the Steam Deck, is really needed.
It's just a way to make Game Pass more accessible. I mean, again, I think the Steam Deck's blindsided everyone in like the other platform holders, and it's barely 6 months old. What was it? what did we say? May came out in April, I think, the first drop, was it?
Oh, May.
May. It was, yeah, I was part of that. Not the first week. I think I got mine, like, that second little batch. So, you know, it's 7 months old. So, yeah, it's, you know, I think it's easy to forget it's still in its infancy.
Yeah, it is.
I think we get a retail release. I think we get Steam Controller 2, and I'm hoping some kind of better integration with Game Pass. That's my big hope with it. Because, yeah, aside from that, it's brilliant. It's been the year of the deck. 2023 is going to be the year of the deck. And I can't wait to see the influence it actually has on Nintendo and stuff like that moving forward, because usually they're the innovators. It's not often they're the ones playing catch up on innovation.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, but that's it. Not to end 2022. We're starting 2023 with the end of 2022, or all of 2022. There you go, all of 2022, all the important moments of 2022 in one podcast. And not a mention of a Harry or a Meghan. So before we go down another route, I'll shut up now.
Hey, you just ruined that for yourself. But yeah, no mention at all of Harry and Meghan. Oh God, that's 2. But yeah, so hopefully everybody had a decent Christmas period. It can be a struggle, as I've mentioned before. So if you need to reach out, please do. We're on Discord. Happy to chat about any subject that you want to talk about at all. Follow us on all the socials. And until next time, stay safe and stay sane.